Why do some artists become icons after a breakup, while others, despite their talent, stall? In pop culture, celebrities' public energy reflects personal transitions. When heartbreak isn't transformed into narrative fuel, it creates stagnation, personally and publicly. The energetic principle here is based in psychology and spiritual ideas around emotional alchemy. Pain, if not transmuted, calcifies. Fame thrives on movement, transformation, and spectacle. When a star does not shift the energy from heartbreak to power, they stall. Becky G's public heartbreak could have been a rite of passage moment, but her response was muted, introspective, and non-confrontational. Admirable personally, but ineffective in an industry that rewards myth-making. The good girl resilience archetype she occupies may have held her back from embracing the more disruptive Dionysian power of heartbreak to legend transitions. Think Beyoncé's Lemonade, Shakira's post-Piqué hits, or Miley's post-Liam. We'll discuss these further in a minute. Her heartbreak lacked narrative transmutation. The energy remained inward, instead of radiating outward as art, statement, or performance. In psychospiritual terms, unresolved grief became creative blockage. Celebrity culture thrives on controlled collapse, followed by strategic reinvention. The moment of personal crisis is when the best branding pivots are born. Becky G's team could have launched a rebranding campaign, positioning her as a wounded yet rising Latina powerhouse. Instead, they leaned on vague empowerment messaging without emotional teeth. There was no breakup anthem, no cathartic performance, no headline-worthy shift. Compare that to how Shakira publicly weaponized her heartbreak into a PR and musical triumph, or how Karol G during her Mañana Será Bonito tour, where she experienced deeply emotional moments which resonated with her personal journey following her breakup with Anuel, where she channeled personal pain into her music, culminating in a Grammy-winning album and a record-breaking global stadium tour. And so, Becky G's continued adherence to a safe pop persona, beautiful, poised, brand-friendly, has left her lacking edge in a media landscape hungry for rawness. The PR moment passed because her image didn't evolve. In a fame economy that rewards transformation through pain, stasis is a death sentence. Fame and heartbreak are linked because they both involve rupture, and rupture is the condition of rebirth. In pop culture, to become legendary, one must lose, suffer, and transform. Becky G's case illustrates what happens when the rupture isn't narrated, performed, or externalized. It becomes invisible, and so does the star. Her situation offers a cautionary tale about the hidden power of pain and the risks of over-curated resilience. Audiences don't just want beauty, they want metamorphosis. Public breakups aren't just celebrity gossip. They're powerful storytelling engines rooted in deep psychological and cultural patterns. At the heart of this dynamic lies the rebirth archetype. We're wired to respond to stories of destruction, followed by transformation. Audiences love a phoenix rising moment, especially when it comes from a woman reclaiming their autonomy, shedding the weight of betrayal, and stepping into a new version of themselves. There's a particular emotional charge when a female artist publicly declares, "I'm finally free." It's more than drama, it's a symbolic liberation. This message resonates deeply in a culture where women are often expected to endure quietly. When an artist breaks that mold, she becomes a vessel for collective catharsis. From a media psychology perspective, public breakups generate a perfect storm: empathy, curiosity, and spectacle. The public sees celebrities as untouchable until heartbreak hits. Suddenly they're relatable. We don't just follow their pain, we root for their comeback. When an artist channels that pain into a new sound, aesthetic, or message, it gives fans a sense of participating in that transformation. Reinvention becomes communal. The press thrives on this too. Breakups mean headlines, interviews, rebranding, speculation, and content. And culturally, we have a particular obsession with watching women reinvent themselves. Whether it's Beyoncé, Miley Cyrus, or Shakira, the cycle of heartbreak to art to empowerment is both emotional release and marketing gold. In today's fame economy, PR relationships, whether real, curated, or entirely manufactured, are one of the most powerful tools in a celebrity's branding arsenal. These high-profile pairings are less about romance and more about narrative strategy. By coupling up, especially across industries like music and sports, artists expand their audience, generate headlines, and create cultural relevance, often at crucial career junctures. These relationships are media engines, fueled by tabloids, social media, speculation, red carpet appearances, and public intrigue. Every handhold becomes content, and every breakup becomes a press cycle. For labels and publicists, this is free marketing. A relationship can become a campaign in itself, often timed to coincide with album releases, movie premieres, or rebranding efforts. What are the strategic benefits? Visibility boost. Two fan bases merge, attention multiplies, relevance maintenance. A relationship can revive interest in an artist who's been out of the spotlight. Or image control. Pairings can soften reputations, distract from controversy, or mature a public persona. PR relationships also allow for narrative engineering. A rising artist dating an A-lister gains instant legitimacy. A scandal-prone star gets a clean slate through a stable new partner. The romance becomes part of the myth, and when it ends, the breakup can be just as useful. And who wins from this? Labels get hype, headlines, and higher sales. Artists get visibility, story control, and personal brand expansion. And publicists get to shape the emotional and visual arc of their client's public journey. In short, PR relationships are less about love and more about leverage. Now that we've explored how PR relationships can shape a celebrity's narrative, let's take a closer look at Becky G, an artist whose moment of personal rupture held the potential for powerful reinvention, but ultimately became a missed opportunity. Becky G is beautiful, talented, and charismatic, but something's missing. Despite her potential, her career has stagnated. A cheating scandal right before her 2023 album release, Esquinas, could have been the perfect moment to move on and reinvent herself, but her decision to stay with her cheating Argentinian-American soccer player fiancé, Sebastián Yaguet, may have been a missed opportunity to release, reclaim, and evolve. Let's talk about her energetic blueprint. Becky G's upbringing in a hardworking Mexican-American family as the oldest child fostered a sense of responsibility and self-sacrifice. Her early struggles, like losing her home at age 9, shaped a survival mindset, one that often prioritized others over her own needs. This likely influenced her career and relationship choices, contributing to a difficulty in setting boundaries and putting herself first. In her relationships, this dynamic can manifest as staying in relationships that no longer serve her, as the desire to care for others may override her self-empowerment. Her rise to fame wasn't just fueled by passion, but necessity. Hustling through YouTube covers, voiceover work, and songwriting, she built resilience. Yet the pressure to provide for her family blurred the lines between personal ambition and external obligation. This survival-driven hustle can sometimes result in losing sight of one's personal identity and needs. Let's take a closer look at the relationship and their energetic dynamics. Their union illustrates a push and pull dynamic. Becky's caretaker energy kept her tethered to an outdated identity, where loyalty and forgiveness were prioritized over personal growth. This emotional attachment to an old version of herself may have kept her from embracing the expansion she needed. Her forgiveness of Sebastian's betrayal seemed more about loyalty to her past self rather than aligning with her higher potential. Energetically, Sebastian may have acted as a placeholder in Becky's life, anchoring her to an old identity. As she evolves, staying in this relationship has likely become limiting, preventing her from stepping into the next phase of her growth. Another tangible issue surrounding Becky's brand is it has often centered around collaboration, helping others rise rather than focusing on her own journey. This passive role in her career risks overshadowing her potential, especially in an industry that thrives on individual stars taking center stage. Becky G's sweet, grounded image has kept her likable but unprovocative. In a world where chaos and edge attract attention, think Miley, Cardi, Doja, Becky's polished, good girl persona risks feeling stale and distant. By holding onto a relationship that no longer serves her, Becky's creative energy remains stagnant, and a spiritual and emotional block takes root. The door to reinvention was open, but she stayed in the safe house with the one who burned it down. Her loyalty to a man who publicly embarrassed her subtly dulls her glow. Then we have the potentially too good, too sweet, too polished factor. Becky feels professional but not magnetic. Today's algorithms reward messy, raw, or scandalous energy, not calm and composed. Without texture, there's no gravitational pull. She lacks the wow factor that drives virality. The youthful look dilemma. Becky's image hasn't fully evolved into grown woman energy. Despite her beauty and confidence, the baby face and polished persona still keep her in the good girl box. Without a clear cultural shift, think Britney's I'm a slave for you or Selena's good for you era, her identity remains caught between youth and adulthood. She needs a defining moment, an era where she fully sheds her teen star image and embraces a bold adult persona. And then there's just not enough media-centric drama. Pop culture thrives on relationship rumors. Artists like Karol G, Olivia Rodrigo, and even Rosalía stay in the media not just for their music, but for the drama that surrounds them. Becky's seemingly stable private relationship lacks the gossip feel that propels media presence. The low drama nature of her public persona impacts her reach and visibility. Without constant media buzz or speculation, Becky doesn't get the passive exposure that keeps her in the headlines. She also has a label and market confusion. Becky's versatility spanning pop, reggaeton, cumbia, and bilingual crossover shows her range, but also confuses her market identity. Is she a pop star, a Spanish regional music singer, an urban reggaeton artist? This lack of clarity can make it harder for fans to latch on to her distinct lane. Her adaptability works against her in an industry that craves clear branding. People want to know what box you fit into. Think Lady Gaga. She's a fantastic jazz singer, but she dedicated 10 years of her career to pop music before she branched out to classics. Becky has often been just ahead of the curve, overshadowed by other events or artists. She collaborates with artists before they blow up and releases music that should go viral, but it gets lost in the noise. Timing is everything, and Becky hasn't always had it on her side. She's rarely the main event. Timing and exposure are key to breakthrough moments. She's often been overshadowed in her own collaborations. Think Mami featuring Karol G or Chanel featuring Peso Pluma. What she needs to explode is a stronger visual and sonic rebrand that reclaims her grown womanhood. Maybe a solo anthem that defines her current identity, not just past collaborations. A touch of public edge to match her sweetness, giving her more texture, closure, or reinvention of the Sebastian storyline. Either walk away or deeply define it. And finally, a PR campaign that positions her as a legend in the making because she's done more for others than most people realize. So you see, it's not just a trend. The wrong relationships can seriously block energy and momentum. Another example, Halle Bailey. Despite her immense talent and vocals, we've seen her career trajectory stall, and some of that may be due to her relationship with rapper-streamer DDG. Halle, known for her powerhouse vocals in Chloe x Halle and her breakout role as Ariel in Disney's 2023 The Little Mermaid, she was poised to be one of the biggest stars in music and film. She began dating DDG in December 2021, and they welcomed a son, Halo, in December 2023 when she was 23 years old. However, their relationship faced a lot of public scrutiny, and they officially split in October 2024. You can look online for his various comments on the breakup, his newfound joy in singlehood, and her loud silence in response. My point is, despite her undeniable talent, Holly's connection to DDG seemed to overshadow her career. Her relationship may have hindered her potential, with her professional achievements taking a back seat to public interest in her personal life. Now let's take a closer look at a series of artists whose breakups didn't just make headlines. They marked turning points in their careers, often coinciding with powerful album releases and public reinventions. Number 1, Miley Cyrus. We have her first breakup scandal with Liam Hemsworth. They broke up in September of 2013. In October 4th of 2013, she releases her album Bangers. After rekindling their romance in a short failed marriage, Miley and Liam broke up again in August 2019. She then releases Plastic Hearts, November 27, 2020. Each album release is followed by a huge stylistic transformation. Number 2, Ariana Grande. Breakup scandal with Pete Davidson. In October 14, 2018, The end of their short-lived engagement is announced. The corresponding album, Thank You Next, released on February 8th, 2019. In several of her songs, she names a few of her exes. At number 3, we have Shakira. Breakup scandal. Shakira and Gerard Piqué announced their split in June 2022 after 11 years together. The corresponding project, Bizarrap Music Sessions Volume 53, released January 11, 2023. As we probably all know by now, the famous Claramente lyric where she mentions his mistress's name. This was a whole revamp of her career. At number 4, we have Selena Gomez. We have the first breakup scandal with Justin Bieber. They had an on and off again relationship for several years, with their final breakup occurring in 2014. Then she releases the corresponding album Revival in October 9th, 2015. Selena and Justin rekindled their relationship in July of 2018. He did end up getting married 2 months later with his now wife. Selena then releases her album Rare January 10th, 2020. At number 5, we have Dua Lipa. Her breakup with Anwar Hadid. She broke up with him in December 2021 after 2 years of dating. Her corresponding project, Radical Optimism, released May 3rd, 2024. At number 6, we have Olivia Rodrigo, of course. The whole breakup scandal here, alleged love triangle drama involving Olivia, Joshua Bassett, and Sabrina Carpenter in 2020. Then we have the corresponding debut album, Sour, in 2021. It's released on May 21st. Iconic album. Every single song was a banger. At number 7, we have Rihanna. After her tumultuous relationship with Chris Brown ends in February 2009, she releases her corresponding album Rated R, November 20th, 2009. At number 8, we have Casey Musgraves. Her divorce with husband Rustin Kelly in 2020. She then releases her album Star-Crossed in September 10th, 2021. At number 9, we have Karol G. Her breakup with Anuel AA in 2021. She released KGO 516, released March 25th, 2021. And then, of course, her healing album, Mañana Será Bonito, famously released on February 24th, 2023. She ended up being nominated for 7 Grammys. She won 3 of them. She's more successful than ever, more beautiful than ever, and the world cheered her on. A little bit more niche, but number 10, Dana Paola. She had a split from musician-actor Eleazar Gomez in 2020 after his public scandal and arrest. She then released the corresponding album, KO 2021, on March 26. At number 11, we have Casu. Her breakup, very public, with fellow artist Christian Nodal in May 23rd, 2024, following their high-profile relationship. Nodal went on to marry Angel Aguilar 2 months later on July 24th, 2024. Her corresponding project, Con Otra, released March 19th, 2025, obviously commenting on her relationship and the dynamic with the other woman. At number 12, we have Natalia Lafourcade. She had a romantic breakup in 2018, which deeply influenced her music. It was her first album of entirely all original material, the first in 7 years. Her album, De Todas las Flores, released October 28th, 2022. And at number 13, we have the queen herself, Taylor Swift. Multiple eras, multiple albums, multiple songs, multiple boyfriends, multiple scandals, multiple heartbreaks, multiple reinventions. We have notable breakups with Joe Jonas, Taylor Lautner, Tom Hiddleston, John Mayer, Jake Gyllenhaal, Harry Styles, and a special shout out to her feud with Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. Here's a limited breakdown of a few projects of hers. We have the breakup scandal with Joe Jonas. They dated from July to October 2008. Songs that she's written about Joe, we have Forever and Always from her album Fearless, released November 11th, 2008. We have Last Kiss and Better Than Revenge from her album Speak Now, released October 25th, 2010. And we have Holy Ground, possibly inspired, though a little bit less direct, to Joe, from her album Red, released October 22, 2012. We have her breakup scandal with Jake Gyllenhaal. Estimated dating was between late 2010 to early 2011. The corresponding album is Red. It was released originally in October 22nd of 2012. And as we all know now, she re-released it, Taylor's version, All Too Well, with her short film, which reignited public discussion, of course. And finally, we have her breakup scandal with Harry Styles. Relationship timeline suggests November 2012 to January 2013. And the corresponding album is 1989, released October 27th, 2014. Each breakup or scandal fueled a new narrative and marketing for her albums. Swift's ability to turn personal heartbreak and drama into public triumph and musical success has become a signature for her career. The personal was consistently intertwined with the professional, making her public life an essential part of her brand. Now that we've seen how breakups have shaped the trajectories of these artists, let's take a closer look at two very different responses to heartbreak and betrayal. Beyoncé and Becky G. Both women remained with partners who had been unfaithful to them, but the way they navigated that pain and how the public responded couldn't have been more different. One that became a cultural reset, and another that left the moment quietly behind. On April 23, 2016, without warning, Beyoncé released Lemonade, a visual album exclusively on Tidal and aired on HBO the same day. The album implied Jay-Z's cheating, most famously with the line "Becky with the good hair." The album was a mix of raw emotion, cultural references, and cathartic storytelling, turning the personal into a public cultural moment. Lemonade became more than just an album, it was a reclamation of power. While Jay-Z's infidelity wasn't confirmed directly, the album's open exploration of pain, betrayal, and forgiveness resonated so deeply with audiences, positioning Beyoncé as both a public figure and a symbol for strength. Why it worked for Beyoncé and not Becky? Of course, Beyoncé had already established herself as a cultural institution. She was not just an artist, but a voice for Black empowerment and feminist ideals. Her ability to turn pain into art was met with admiration and respect. In contrast, Becky G, though talented, hadn't built the level of cultural capital. People were still trying to figure out who she was beyond her collaborations. Beyoncé owned her story, figuratively but also literally, through its exclusive release on Tidal, a streaming platform she co-owns. Lemonade was a public reckoning. Every part of her pain was turned into art, from the vulnerability of betrayal to the strength of moving forward. With Becky G, however, the narrative stayed silent. She stayed with Sebastian after his betrayal, but her album Esquinas didn't address the public scandal. By not confronting the pain, she missed the opportunity to reclaim the narrative and build a public catharsis. Lemonade was raw, powerful, and cathartic. It didn't shy away from the messiness of healing. Becky G's Esquinas, however, was soft and nostalgic, beautiful, but energetically mismatched with the betrayal she faced. It wasn't an album of reclamation. It skipped the fire. Beyoncé became a symbol of every woman who had been betrayed, channeling the depth of Black motherhood and ancestral power. Becky G, on the other hand, became the good girl, loyal, sweet, forgiving, a ride or die who stayed after being wronged, but not by addressing her pain publicly. She instead risked being seen as weak, submissive, or lacking self-respect. She had a powerful opportunity to tap into the deeply ingrained Latina experience of misogyny and machismo, a struggle that Beyoncé transformed into a profound narrative of resilience and defiance. Had Becky G channeled this cultural pain and used it to fuel her own artistic reinvention, she could have turned her personal betrayal into a collective anthem of empowerment for women who share that same fight. Beyoncé's response was a war cry. She transformed her pain into a powerful, poetic statement that resonated globally. Becky G, by contrast, quietly stood by Sebastian, not giving the public the chance to rally behind her. She missed an opportunity to empower her fans, leaving them with no cathartic release. Bottom line, it wasn't just about staying. Beyoncé turned her betrayal into a global movement, whereas Becky G stayed silent when she could have sparked her own evolution. By not addressing her own pain publicly, she missed the chance to reclaim her narrative and audience. While the contrast between Beyoncé and Becky G shows us how different public responses can shape a career, it also opens the door to something deeper: the emotional and spiritual cost of staying silent, small, or too polished in the face of personal betrayal. In a world where media narratives are often shaped by PR and public perception, women, especially in the entertainment industry, are frequently caught between their personal truth and the expectations placed upon them. The energetic toll of holding on to someone or something that dims your light is profound. Whether it's fear of starting over, self-doubt, or the weight of misplaced loyalty, these emotional blockages can prevent true reinvention. For women like Becky G, this is a crucial moment of reckoning. How can she rise and step into her full power if she remains tethered to the very forces that seek to control her narrative? The media feeds on the hurt but thriving trope. It's a captivating paradox, the notion that a woman can only be elevated when she's publicly broken, but still somehow triumphant. But real ascension, real reinvention, requires more than surviving the pain. It requires release, letting go of the emotional and spiritual baggage, and taking back control of the story. As we wrap up, let's take a step back and reflect on what all of this reveals. Not just about fame and heartbreak, but about the deeper energies that shape a woman's rise or stall in the spotlight. In examining the intersection of media, PR relationships, and the entertainment industry, we must ask ourselves, are the narratives we see carefully calculated, or are they mere coincidences of fate? Fans play a role too. Are we complicit in feeding the machine that thrives on these stories, or are we simply drawn to authenticity, whether real or carefully curated? It's a cultural paradox that women seem to be most visible and celebrated when they are hurt but thriving, perpetuating a narrative that feeds off of pain while capitalizing on resilience. Women like Becky G are proof of this, as their stories are often shaped by the public's expectations rather than their own desires. Though Becky's journey is far from over, her next steps hinge on her ability to release that weight, that which weighs her down emotionally, spiritually, and publicly. Only then can she truly step into the light of reinvention, where she can reclaim her narrative, break free from the industry's constraints, and define her power on her terms. And while we can analyze the patterns and unpack the narratives, at the end of the day, it all comes down to choice. How can artists decide to reclaim their voice and reshape their legacy? The media and PR world will continue to shape women's stories, but the true power lies in how we choose to rewrite them. For Becky G and for every woman navigating the complexities of fame, success, and personal growth, the journey to reinvention is deeply spiritual. It's not just about surviving the pain. It's about shedding the past, reclaiming your story, and stepping boldly into your own light. Only then can you truly transcend the narratives others have written for you and claim your space as a force of power, authenticity, and reinvention.